Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday episode of Daily Betslip. Myself, Donnavan, Smoot. And right off the top of the show, we got to talk about the obvious here. Big trade in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell been traded from the Utah Jazz to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan, what does this mean? What is your instant reaction to this big trade in the NBA?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm actually shocked that Cleveland was the one to get him. The Cavs are now contenders to make the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't My pick, and you'll hear me say it from now to the day they get eliminated from the playoffs. But the Milwaukee Bucks are winning the NBA championship, so I don't think that anybody's beating them. But in order to get to there, you have to get to the conference finals. The Cavs are now a serious play to be there. They're up there with the Miami Heat, with the Boston Celtics, with the Brooklyn Nets, everybody along that such. And if things break their way, if we have some crazy injury luck, maybe they can get to the finals. We'll see. Again, I don't think that's going to happen because I think that the Bucks are there, but they have one of the best young cores in the NBA at this point with Darius Garland, All-Star, Donovan Mitchell, All-Star, Jared Allen, All-Star, and then Evan Mobley, a runner-up for Rookie of the Year, future All-Star. So they have 4 All-Stars on their team, or All-Star caliber players. The Cavs, they're stacking the deck right now, and it's looking really good.
Do you think they gave up too much to get Mitchell?
Not at all. Not at all. I think the biggest player in that trade was Colin Sexton, and he was already out the door. If they didn't trade with the Jazz, Colin Sexton was going to basically sign a 1-year deal with the Cavs, and they were going to figure out a way to either trade him at the deadline or just let him play, reinstitute his value, and then let him get a deal in the offseason. So that is okay. They traded a couple young guys. That's fine. The draft capital that they traded, that's a very standard draft capital, considering that you're giving up players of that caliber. So honestly, they might have gotten a steal, because you see, deals like the ones that the New York Knicks had on the tables, and you had 4 or 5 first-round picks on the table. You had several pick swaps on the table, including the young players. And for a guy that is probably just going to be a bridge guard for the Jazz, you don't really have a lot to hang your hat on and build your franchise if you're talking about Utah personnel-wise. We'll see what the picks turn out to be moving down the line, but I don't think Cleveland gave up too much.
So obviously the big talk was that the Knicks were, as you mentioned, in talks to get Donovan Mitchell. Our coworker and friend Peter Dewey, noted Knicks fan, he did tweet, RJ Barrett alone is worth more than all 3 players Utah is getting in this deal. Glad the Knicks didn't give in when Ainge was clearly trying to fleece them. Donovan Mitchell doesn't make you a championship contender. Just keep building the right way. Is that denial from an upset Knicks fan, or how do you react to that?
It kind of is, and Peter and I are on 2 kind of like very different ends of the like Knicks fan spectrum, because while I am like I care about the Knicks. Peter lives and dies with them, and he like loves RJ Barrett. Here's what I said. He's right in the fact that Donovan Mitchell doesn't make you a championship contender if you're trading him to the Knicks, right? Because the Knicks don't have the infrastructure around him to make him the ceiling raiser that he can be. If you trade him to the Cavs, who were the number 4 seed in the East last year before injuries completely derailed their season, yeah, there's something to be there. You have Twin Towers again with Mobley and Allen. You have Darius Garland. You have Karis LeVert coming off the bench. Ricky Rubio, another veteran point guard, is coming back. Like, they have guys. So if you look at what the Cavs are going to be able to do defensively, and now their offensive ceiling is going to be raised to the highest it's probably been since LeBron was there. Yeah, this is a team that, if everything shakes out the right way, and there's a lot that needs to shake out, but they can potentially make the finals. But a lot has to go their way. Again, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Milwaukee's making it, but they have the potential to do that.
Unfortunately, that does it for our NBA talk, because that wasn't planned. Obviously, breaking news before we went, so we had to talk about it. But on today's show, we got Major League Baseball picks. College football Week 1 starts tonight, and I have a few picks for that. We're also going to give out our picks to win NFL MVP, our best bet along with our dark horse, and then we'll finish off the show with the game of the night, which is the backyard brawl between West Virginia and Pittsburgh. And like I said, we're not going to talk any NBA anymore this show, but a quick WNBA note. We're talking WNBA for today's bad beat of the night from last night's slate. I believe our very own Ben Heisler was on this bet. It was Aces -6 against the Storm. Jackie Young had a free throw with time expiring to push the -6 spread, and she missed it. So Las Vegas won, but Storm did cover the 6-point spread. It came down to the last free throw. So if you're with Ben last night on the Aces -6, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, and this is literally the definition of insignificant to the game, but like important to others. Because if you're the Aces, your season was on the line, and going down 2-0 to a Seattle Storm team that would have just been a crushing blow. So you're happy that you're able to get the win, stay in the series. But for Ben, yeah, it's a tough beat. But the whole crew's been doing a great job during the WNBA season, and I'm very excited. Keep following us, our daily, or whenever there's a game, we have our best bets for the WNBA. Our playoff record, we are 7-5 now. We were 7-5 heading into last night's game. We are up, in terms of units, 88, 80, and 3 on the season. So we got some picks over here. We got some winners. So make sure to check that out on BetSided whenever the WNBA is back on TV.
That's right. Even with college football and NFL starting, don't forget about the WNBA. Certainly some opportunities to make some money betting there. But let's get into some picks for tonight. Thankfully, we finally have more than just MLB and the occasional WNBA game to wager on. We got some college football as well. We got some community picks for tonight. By the way, if you are watching this on Twitter, be sure to head over to YouTube. And if we don't get to your pick, if you didn't submit a pick to us on Twitter earlier, just type it in the chat and we can bring it up that way. So let's go ahead and dive into our community picks for tonight. Here's the first one from Jeff Winters at Jeff Winters 32. Love Dodgers like you. Penn State under 53.5. West Virginia plus everything. So I did give out Dodgers money line earlier today. Not going to give out that pick, but yes, I am with you on that pick. Sorry, bring up the tweet one more time. What were I know it was West Virginia plus money. Penn State under 53.5. Penn State against Purdue. I do have a bet in that game a little bit later, but I know Reed Wallach wrote the betting preview for that game earlier in the week, and he does like the under in that game as well, I believe. And also West Virginia plus everything. Actually, like I said, I'll talk about that game when I get to it, but I'm seeing West Virginia seems to be a popular pick on Twitter today. I don't know. They're obviously paying Pittsburgh in the big game tonight. So I'm not going to give away my picks yet, but best of luck to you, Jeff Winters. Let's go ahead. Well, I should ask you, Donnavan, do you have any thoughts on those picks at all?
On the Penn State one, and we could talk about it a little bit more, but I like the under. I might go in a different direction. And so I know that you have a pick on the game, but I'll go. I actually like Purdue. We're going to start the college football season off right. Take Purdue on the money line.
Ooh.
Money line underdog. They are going to stand strong at home and upset the Nittany Lions and start the season off with a win. So that's where I'll go in that game.
Oh, Donnavan likes a little outright money line underdog to get the college football season started. I was going to say I like it, but I have a pick on the game, so I can't spoil it. Maybe I don't like it. We'll see. Let's bring up the second community pick for tonight. This one with a little breakdown. We always love when the picks come in with a little breakdown. It makes our job certainly a little bit easier. Hot takes with TP3 at TP3 Bets. Says Central Michigan plus 22. Says Spencer Sanders is a turnover machine, and they lost most of the key defensive players from last year. Jim Knowles is also gone to be the DC at Ohio State. It will be sweaty, but CMU keeps it inside 3 touchdowns. Of course, that is Central Michigan against Oklahoma State, a surprising team last year that boasted one of the best defenses in college football. So they are laying 22. I think it's gone down half a point. Might be a little bit of a difference depending on what book you're looking at. But 21.5, 22 is going to be the spread in that game. I think obviously the game of the night, the 2 games of the night are Pittsburgh and West Virginia, and then Purdue and Penn State. But I think the sneaky third best game of the night might just be that Oklahoma State and Central Michigan game. Do you have any thoughts on that one, Donnavan?
I actually don't. I have no thoughts on this one. Next one.
Perfect. Let's keep it moving. The third community pick for tonight. Ball State versus Tennessee under 66.5. This comes from Bald Guy Bets at Bets Bald. I have a different bet. I have a side. I think the spread in this game was massive. I think it's like 33.5 points or something like that. But this one, actually, I know for sure Reed Wallach did like the under in this one in his betting preview. So he is with you on that one. I will keep my thoughts until it's my turn to make a pick for that game. We're going to keep it moving, Donnavan, or you got any thoughts for Tennessee Ball State?
Let's keep it moving. Let's see what they got next.
We'll keep it moving. Let's bring up the fourth or fifth community pick here. 2 picks, one in baseball and one in football. This is from Young King at Charlie Green, 96th. He is on the Orioles tonight in baseball. Orioles are underdogs to Shane Bieber and the Cleveland Guardians. And then we already mentioned Pitt and West Virginia will be our game of the night. So our in-depth thoughts a little bit later. But he's on Pitt -7 in the backyard brawl, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
I'm still a little bit new to the American college football scene over the past couple of years. So some of these rivalry nicknames I still got to kind of get used to. But hey, if you want to talk about Western against Wilfrid Laurier, little Canadian college football, I can talk about that all day. Donnavan, any thoughts on either of those picks, specifically the baseball one?
Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I actually think I might fade this one just because Shane Bieber, he's just so dominant, right? You look at his last 5 starts, he's allowed 1 run, 2 runs, 0 runs, and then 2 runs again. He's only allowed 1 home run in his last 5 starts. He's unhittable, right? It's hard to get runs and to convert on Shane Bieber. So I think that like even though that you're taking the Orioles on the run line, I think Cleveland comes out today. And I think that they get it pretty dominantly. So I'm not gonna back this one.
Makes sense. Obviously, it's tough going against Shane Bieber, but I will say, obviously, the Orioles have been number one, the most profitable team in Major League Baseball to bet on this year, and also the best run line team to bet on this year. So that's a stay away game for me. I do not have a play for that game because, like I said, I like both points. Orioles great as underdogs, great bet this year. Tough to go against Shane Bieber though. So stay away for me. And then we have one more community pick for tonight. I believe it's a baseball pick from DJ at Go DJ. That's my DJ. Rangers. I kind of like that. I kind of like that Twitter handle. What do you think about that, Donnavan?
I like it too. All
right. Rangers Red Sox over 9. Glenn Otto going for the Rangers, going up against Rich Hill, Old Man Hill, for the Boston Red Sox. I don't really have any strong feelings about that one, to be completely honest. They're both kind of average pitchers. They're both kind of average offenses. I mean, betting on the over, I guess, so you get to sit back and root for some runs, so that's kind of fun. Donnavan, do you have any thoughts? Save me on this one.
Yeah, I kind of like the over on this one because. And I'll say this: my daily dinger comes from this game. Both myself and Ben Heisler, we are both on Corey Seager tonight to go yard. He's at, I think the best odds are at plus 390. And when you look at Rich Hill, he's given up 3 home runs in his last 5 games. In his last 5 starts, Corey Seager has hit 3 home runs in his last 3 games. He's on fire right now. Rich Hill, just a little bit loose with the ball right now. So I like the over. I like Corey Seager to hit a home run tonight.
All right, so there's our community picks. If we didn't get to yours or if you didn't send one in, feel free to chime in the chat, and we can bring it up and talk about it as the show goes on. But let's talk our best bets. I got 3 in college football. Donnavan, you have 3 pitcher props for tonight.
Yes, sir.
Going all props when it comes to baseball. I love it. I'll start us off this time around. I will talk about a game. I agree with one of the community picks, and that is in the Central Michigan-Oklahoma State game. He must have got a better line than I did. He got 22 points. I got 21.5. So CMU plus 21.5 against Oklahoma State tonight. One of my early college football season betting strategies is to fade teams who are surprisingly good the year before, teams like Oklahoma State. And people are going to expect them to come back strong again this year. I don't know, especially early in the season. I think they might be a little bit overvalued, especially, and I know and I forget their name, I apologize, but the person who sent in their community pick on this game made a great point that I agree with, and that is, yes, they had one of the best defenses in the country last year, but then they lost their defensive coordinator to Ohio State. They also lost a ton of players on the defensive side of the ball, so I do not expect the Cowboys defense to be as dominant as it was last season. And Central Michigan has some explosive players on offense. Daniel Richardson, their quarterback, Lou Nichols, the third, their running back. I think they can make just enough explosive plays tonight to keep it within the 3 touchdowns. Obviously, it's going to be tough for them to win, although they did upset Oklahoma State. When was it? Back in 2014 or 2016? They upset Oklahoma State in a big game. I don't think that'll happen again tonight, but I will take the 21.5 points with Central Michigan.
Okay. Listen, I'm riding with that. I told you earlier I had empty, no thoughts on this one. I'm gonna go over to my best bet though, to my first one, and we'll kick off the back and forth. I'm going Johnny Cueto over 4.5 strikeouts. I got the line at plus 115. Listen, when in doubt, right? When you're looking for a bet over on Johnny Cueto strikeouts, and backing Johnny Cueto is kind of the way to go. And even though that the Royals for a majority of the season have been like a really, really hard team to strike out, they're starting to fall apart a little bit down the stretch of this season. They are in danger of falling out of the top 10, and they've struck out 10 times on average over the last 3 games. So they have a little bit of, they're a little shaky right now. And Cueto, he's been dominant, right? He got beat up in his last start in August, but he had a very, very dominant month. And I think that Cueto is going to be able to take the extra step. Now, he hasn't cleared this line. And here's the one thing that kind of scares me about it, and so it's why it's plus money. He hasn't cleared this line in his last 7 starts, right? So that's the one thing where if you are looking at a trend, you say, okay, like he hasn't done this in nearly 2 months. I trust Cueto because he's been dominant. The strikeouts are going to come. They're going to follow. And he stays on the mound for a pretty long amount of time. So I think those 2 factors mean more to me than just the fact that he hasn't nearly cleared this number, despite the fact that he's consistently around the number. So we're just looking for a little bit extra push tonight with Johnny Cueto.
Yeah, I faded Johnny Cueto in his strikeout prop. I think it was last week, and it lost. So I'm not in a rush to do it again. I like the over. Johnny Cueto quietly having one of the best seasons of his career for sure. But let's get back to college football for my second college football pick tonight. I'm laying what I think is the biggest number on the board tonight. Don't quote me on that, though, but it's a massive spread. Give me the Tennessee Volunteers minus 35.5 against Ball State. I think I saw someone else. They're on the under in this game. I know Reed is, and I know there's a community pick that's on the under as well. I'm going to lay the points with Tennessee. A lot of optimism surrounding Tennessee heading into this season. So I think they're going to start their season off with a bang. But realistically, this is kind of more of a fade of Ball State. If people remember, Ball State won the MAC 2 years ago. Last year, they returned the large majority of their players from the 2020 championship team, and they kind of stunk. They finished 6-7, and now this year, none of those guys are returning, or at least very, very few of them. So they have a quarterback who is making his first college football start, and he's doing it against an SEC defense. So that's an absolute nightmare start for my boy John Paddock, unfortunately. So and also I don't think the run game is going to be a factor in this one either. Tennessee had one of the best run defenses in the country last year. Ball State had one of the worst rush offenses. So if Ball State's going to stay in this game whatsoever, they're going to need John Paddock, who's making his first ever start, to throw the lights out. I don't see that happening. I think Tennessee wins big. It's a massive number, especially for a week 1 game, but I'll lay it. Give me Tennessee minus 35.5.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure, because if you look at and also, I want to shout out our guy Adam Quinn, who said that the Cueto game already started. I forgot that was the early game. So the Cueto game already started and it went over. So starting
to show off with a winner before we even give the pick out.
Locks only, winners only, Ian. That's all we do. So I'm very happy for that. But on the Ball State pick, you look at Tennessee's defense last year, and they were just inside the top 100. They gave up 31.5 points per game last season. So, I am a little concerned about laying that much, especially in week 1 where everybody's just trying to get acclimated. But listen, if you like it, I love it. So we'll see how it goes.
All right, so let's go back to baseball. I promise your next two pitcher props are in games that have not started yet. So hit me up with your second one.
Yes, sir. So the next one is I'm taking Brandon Woodruff over 6.5 strikeouts tonight. I got the line at plus 110, and he's cleared this line in 2 of his last 4 games, and I'm backing him to do it against another team that is kind of similar to the Royals in terms of they've been hard to strike out all year, but they've been kind of trending downwards as of late. The Diamondbacks, they're in danger of falling out of the top 10 in strikeouts per game, and they haven't been as bad as the Royals have in the last 3 games, but the marginal difference is going to come into play tonight when you have a good pitcher on the mound like Woodruff. In the month of August, he had a 2.7 ERA. I think if he stays on the mound, as long as he doesn't get beat up early, he's going to stay on the mound and he's going to get this one fairly quickly. So I'm very confident in this one.
Brandon Woodruff over 6.5 strikeouts. Now we'll go back for my final college football pick, or at least until we get to the game of the night. I will have a fourth one. My third one so far in the show, it's in the Penn State-Purdue game. I'm actually going to lay the 3 points with Penn State. So earlier, Donnavan, you said you're going to back Purdue right on the money line. I was about to say I like it when you gave the pick out. I was like, well, no, I don't. I'm on the opposite side. Penn State -3 in this one. The storyline for this game is I want to see Penn State's new receiver, Mitchell Tinsley. If you recognize the name, he was Bailey Zappe's main weapon last year when Zappe broke the record for the most passing yards in NCAA history. Now he is transferred to Penn State, so he's going to replace Jahan Dotson, who is now in the NFL. So we got Clifford. He's going to be throwing to Mitchell Tinsley, who obviously had a very, very good season last year. I think he's going to be able to do some damage right away against this Purdue defense because Penn State also has what I think will be the defensive advantage in this one. If you look at last year's numbers, Penn State ranked 11th in opponent yards per play. Purdue was down at 65th. So obviously this is a bit of a tough game for them to go on the road for Purdue's home opener here, but I'll lay the 3 points. I don't value home field advantage as much as some other people do, to be quite honest. So I'll lay the 3 points on the Nittany Lions.
Okay. Listen, when I look at Purdue, and you mentioned Reed's preview from earlier in the week, he was actually on Purdue +3.
Yeah.
He wasn't going to go all the way and take them on the money line, but one of the stats that he had in his piece was that since 2012, week 1 home underdogs in conference play are 19, 11, and 2. And that is a 63% hit rate. And so when you add that on top of the fact that Purdue last season they were the giant slayers, right? They knocked off Iowa when they were on top. They knocked off Michigan State. And that is a very, very tough place to go and play. You have them at home. That's why I'm going to be aggressive on this one. And, you know, in Reed's piece, he called it a dog or pass spot. We're gonna take the dog. We're gonna go all the way, and so it's 1-on-1. It's you and me against each other. So let's see. I'm excited.
And I will say, to be fair, out of my 4 college football picks on the show, this one I would say would be my least confident. So I'm not going to argue too much against the people who are on the Purdue side. But Donnavan, you have one more pitcher prop for tonight's MLB slate. Let me know what it is.
Yeah, and this one is the one that I think I'm getting the most aggressive on. I'm taking Clayton Kershaw over 4.5 strikeouts plus 120. He's playing the Mets tonight, and I think my whole strategy for the day was let's just try to be aggressive, and we'll just see what comes out of it. But I think that Kershaw, he's hit this line once in his last 3 games since he's come back, and now he takes on one of the best teams, obviously in the National League, but I think that Kershaw is going to be able, because this prop for him is really just about how long are you going to stay on the mound. He's extremely efficient when he's out there. In his last 3 starts, whenever he's come back, he's pitched 13 2/3, and he struck out 14. So he's basically averaging 1 strikeout per inning. If he can go and last 5 innings, 5 and a third, we can see this line and hit the over. He pitched 4 innings. I think it was 4 innings in his last start, 5 and a third in the one before, and then 4 and a third in his first start back. So I'm going to put a little bit of trust in Kershaw. Obviously, he's not the guy that's going to go 7, 8 innings and just completely dominate a lineup anymore. But if he can give the Dodgers some decent time, then I think pushing for that fifth strikeout is going to be key.
And I will say this game has just started, but you can still go bet it live, especially if you want to go to DraftKings. They have live props. I'm still looking at it right now. It's still on the board over 4.5. So
I have no concept of time today.
It's literally just started, so you can still place this bet if you're quick with it. So there you go. Those were our best bets for tonight. Donovan's already 1-0, so how about that? Let's go ahead and bring up the recap graphic here. College football bets. I'm on Central Michigan plus 21.5, Tennessee minus 35.5, Penn State minus 3. Donovan, you already hit over 4.5 strikeouts for Johnny Cueto, over 6.5 for Brandon Woodruff in strikeouts. That is, I believe, the late game tonight. And then over 4.5, you can still bet the game just started, over 4.5 strikeouts for Clayton Kershaw against the Mets. Let's switch gears to NFL because, Donovan, we are exactly 1 week away from the start of the 2022 NFL season. In about 7 days and 4 hours-ish, we are going to be watching the Buffalo Bills against the Los Angeles Rams. I'm extremely excited, so let's talk NFL MVP. We saved a couple of the good futures right until the end. Fortunately, we did never get to rank top 5 kickers and punters, which I wanted to do.
There's still time.
Maybe I'll just make a video just ranking the top 5 kickers and punters. I don't think we're going to get to it on this show. But let's talk NFL MVP. We got a best bet and a dark horse. Let's start with our best bets. Donovan, why don't you go first? Who is your best bet to win NFL MVP?
I'm going with Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers to win MVP this year. I think this is the year that the Chargers, as a franchise, take the step forward. And if they do that, Herbert is going to be at the forefront of that. This is a guy that threw for over 5,000 yards last season, had nearly 40 passing touchdowns, and we still think that he can get better, right? And now you give him a better defense on the other side that's going to be able to create turnovers, that's going to be able to get the ball back to the offense. He might have the ball in his hands more than he did last year. I think that with the receiving core that they have, you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams is still there off of a breakout year. Joshua Palmer is still there. Obviously, Austin Eckler in the backfield. Like, Los Angeles just has so many weapons at the disposal for Justin Herbert to go out and make all of these plays. And his arm talent is ridiculous. He's a very smart quarterback. I think that this is the year. This is the year for the Chargers to take that next step, and Justin Herbert's going to lead that. So at 10-1, yeah, this is my best bet.
All right, I'm going with the guy who might be the next name on the odds list, and that's Joe Burrow, the defending AFC champion, at 12-1. This is a guy who led the NFL last season in both completion percentage and yards per pass attempt, and he did it while he had one of the worst offensive lines in all of football. The Bengals ranked second last in QB sacked percentage. So what did the Bengals go and do in the offseason? Well, they went and got an offensive line. They got 3 starters on the offensive line in the offseason. They got Alex Kappa, a Pro Bowl guard from the Buccaneers. They got Lael Collins, the tackle from the Cowboys. And they got a new center, Ted Karras, from the New England Patriots. PFF is ranking the Bengals offensive line now as in the NFL. So you have Joe Burrow, who, like I said, led the NFL in completion percentage, led the NFL in yards per pass attempt, one of the worst offensive lines, and now he has a top 5 offensive line. Watch out. Joe Burrow is going to have an unbelievable season. He's going to follow up in the AFC Championship with an MVP this year.
Okay. We'll see. I think Joe Shiesty, he's cool. He's a cool dude. I don't know if he is cool, but I think that the Bengals are gonna have a little bit of regression on the offensive end. I think that when they really got going last year, it was because Joe Mixon was starting to, be able to run the football effectively, and they were able to set up a lot of things off of that. I think that, listen, I don't hate the pick. I'm just rambling right now just because I feel like there's been a lot of Joe Burrow love, and I'm trying to push back, but I don't hate the pick. I don't hate the pick.
All right, you're probably going to hate my dark horse pick because we do have a couple of dark horse picks. I know already know who I'm going to pick, though. And anyone who's watched any of my stuff over the past month know who I'm going to pick for dark horse. But it is your turn. Who is your dark horse pick to win NFL MVP this year?
It's weird calling a dark horse chalk, but I feel like this is like the chalky dark horse play, and that's Trey Lance at 30-1. The Niners have a great situation for him to step into. They have Deebo Samuel. Apparently Brandon Ayuk is having the camp of his life, and he's supposed to have his breakout year. Everybody's high on him. You have Kyle Shanahan, who is going to set his quarterbacks up in the most quarterback-friendly offense that there is, right? It made Jimmy G look decent to probably half the league, even though that Jimmy G sucks. And now you have a guy who is insanely athletic, can make plays with his feet, and is going to give the Niners offense a different dynamic that they haven't had since Alex Smith was there and since Colin Kaepernick was there. So now you're playing 11-on-11 football, and Trey Lance is going to be the key of that. We saw this exact situation 4 or 5 years ago with Patrick Mahomes, in that he stepped into a situation with offensive talent, with a great head coach, with the defense that can go make some plays, and he went out and he threw for 50 touchdowns and won the MVP. I'm not saying that Trey Lance is going to throw for 50 touchdowns, but the Niners are going to be one of the best teams in the league. And listen, they were already one of the best teams in the league with Jimmy G as their quarterback. If you get somebody who's more explosive, who can make plays, Trey Lance can certainly raise the level of the Niners offense to a different stratosphere. And so I think at 30-1 to be the dark horse, yeah, that's the guy.
I have concerns with Trey Lance. His last full season of football was in the FCS. Who did he play for? North Dakota State?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, he just spent a year in the NFL, so he's already like accustomed to NFL life. So it's okay.
All right, 30-1. Trey Lance is your dark horse. Donnavan, who's my dark horse?
Everybody, Ian's dark horse is Matt Ryan of the Indianapolis Colts. Everybody knows this. He's been saying it for months, and it never gets less annoying to hear this Matt Ryan talk.
And I can't wait until I can laugh at everyone when Matt Ryan wins the MVP and then the Colts go and win the Super Bowl, because this is a team who, and I've said this a million times before, I'm saying it again, this is a team that people thought were Super Bowl contenders for like a 4-week stretch last season. Now you had a guy who has already won the MVP, and a guy who some people are saying, oh, he's too old to win MVP. Well, he's the same age as Aaron Rodgers was when he just won back-to-back MVPs. You're finally giving Matt Ryan a good team, an offensive line, a couple of offensive weapons, including the best running back in the league in Jonathan Taylor. He's going to do some damage this year. Some people were calling the Falcons last year the worst 7-10 team of all time, or like the worst 7-win team of all time. They got 7 wins because Matt Ryan dragged them to 7 wins. Like I said, now he's on a good team. He's going to get back to MVP form. He's going to drag the Colts to the playoffs, and he's going to drag them to a Super Bowl. So Matt Ryan, Matty Ice, this is his year, and I'm so excited to watch and laugh at everyone who said it couldn't be done. Matt Ryan MVP, 35-1 is my dark horse pick.
Let me tell you something. If the Colts are as good as you think that they're going to be, but both things aren't going to happen, right? Like Matt Ryan isn't going to win MVP, and the Colts aren't going to be like a Super Bowl team. If Matt Ryan is the driving force of that offense, and it's not Jonathan Taylor, the Colts have a problem, because what they want to do is they want to play solid defense. They want to hand it off to the 23, 24-year-old running back, let him go get 2,000 yards, right? If Matt Ryan does what he did in 2020, where he led the league in completions and led the league in attempts, then you know what's going to happen? That means that the Colts are going to be down, and they're going to look exactly like the 2020. They are going to look exactly like the 2020 Falcons, who went 4-12 when Matt Ryan was just slinging the ball all around the field. You put the ball in his hands excessively, you will lose games. And if he is doing all the MVP type of stuff, there's a problem in Indianapolis. And so both things cannot happen, and they won't happen. So I'm normally okay with your dark horses. I've been telling you for months, and I'm sick of hearing about it. Matt Ryan's not going to win MVP. You have to drop this.
Jonathan, we can still get Jonathan Taylor the ball. He's just going to be Matt Ryan's top receiver. He's going to be catching balls out of the backfield. He might line up at receiver a couple times. Who knows?
Turn Jonathan Taylor into Austin Eckler, and that's a disgrace. And no respect to Austin Eckler, but like, come on now, come on.
All right, so there you have it. My best bet is Joe Burrow 12-1, Dark Horse Matt Ryan 35-1, Donnavan, you are on Justin Herbert 10-1, and Trey Lance 30-1. Which leaves us with the game of the night. It is the Backyard Brawl. I think I got to double check that name. I think that's what it's called. West Virginia against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a 7.5 point favorite. Really quick before we get into our picks for it, the story of the game is obviously both starting quarterbacks are transfers. They'll be making their first starts with their new teams. West Virginia is starting at former Georgia quarterback JT Daniels, and Pitt will be starting USC transfer, and I'm probably going to mispronounce his name, Kedon Slovis. I'm going to go with Kedon Slovis. So there you go. Two transfer quarterbacks will be starting, will be making their debuts for their respective teams tonight. Donnavan, why don't you start? What is your best bet for the Backyard Brawl?
Yeah, I'm taking the over at 51.5 on this game. I think there's going to be a lot of points, and whether if it's on both sides, right? Like if Pittsburgh comes out and they handle the spread, and they have a very comfortable win, I think that they put up a lot of points in the process. This is a team that nearly averaged 40 points per game last season. Obviously, Kenny Pickett is in the NFL, but like you said, they have a transfer quarterback, and JT Daniels can do a couple things. On the other side, with West Virginia, who they only averaged, I think, 21 points per game last season. You bring in Slovis from USC, and you get them some type of help at quarterback. And so I think that both of these quarterbacks are going to step in to their new roles. They're going to start hot, and we'll see what goes from there. But I don't think that this is going to be as bogged down of a game as some people may think.
So there you go. You're on the over. I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I'm going to take the Panthers here, -7.5. I'm going to lay the points to them. West Virginia returns all 5 of their starting offensive line from last year. Now, normally you would say that as a positive thing, but West Virginia was dead last in their conference in the Big 12 in both rushing yards and QB sacks allowed. So even though they're returning their 5 offensive linemen from last year, I don't know if that's a good thing. Like I said, not only that, now they are starting JT Daniels, who I have no faith in whatsoever. He lost his job in Georgia, and now he has to play behind a trash offensive line, and he has to throw against one of the better defensive secondaries in the ACC in Pittsburgh. And I have a lot more faith in the new quarterback for Pitt and Kedon Slovis. And also both Pittsburgh's offensive line and receiving core is going to be stronger than West Virginia's. I think this actually might be a blowout. I think this is going to be a double-digit win for Pitt. I think people are getting too cute back in West Virginia and taking the points. So I'll lay the points with Pittsburgh. And speaking of people getting too cute with taking West Virginia, that's what the BetSided community is taking apparently. The poll results are in. The community is on West Virginia +7.5. So I'm against the community tonight.
Okay. I don't know. I think everybody's trying to lean into the rivalry aspect of this game. I think if I were to pick a side, I would pick Pitt -7.5. So I'm not a huge fan of the community pick, but listen, I've been wrong before. They've been right before. So maybe this is the community's night.
All right. Yeah, fair enough. It is me against the community tonight. And that does it for our show, my friend. We got some baseball bets, some college football bets, talk a little NFL MVP odds, and then, of course, the game of the night. Tonight, no show tomorrow, but it'll be back next week for the start of the NFL season. It'll be myself and Peter. We are not taking Labor Day off. It'll be myself and Peter on Monday. And then we'll have some guests joining the show on both Tuesday and Thursday, so keep an eye out for that. Please, if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Donnavan, any closing thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
This week, hook 'em. Texas, we're going to start off strong.
Who do they play this week?
I actually don't know, but it doesn't matter It doesn't matter. I can't remember. I can't remember the schedule. Let me filibuster real quick and figure out who we play.
Louisiana Monroe, they got as a little warm-up game this week, Donnavan, and then next week.
Oh, we're getting smacked by Alabama. Don't even pay attention. Alabama's gonna beat us by 45. That does not matter.
On the bright side, you can get your season started off with hopefully what should be an easy win against Louisiana Monroe, 8 p.m. Eastern, Saturday night.
Yeah, hopefully. Texas never makes it easy.
That's certainly true. All right, thank you all for watching. Best of luck with your bets tonight. Gamble or bless, and we'll see you next week.